Leonard Ellerby is out, and Richard Schaefer is in at Mayweather Promotions. All this and much, much more on the latest edition of Real Talk with Rick Glaser. Too can smell manly if you listen to Real Talk with Rick Glaser. Guys, welcome. Happy Thursday to all of you guys. Hope you guys have had an excellent work week. Guys, mine just got better because we're about to talk with the real Rick Glaser. Rick, how you doing tonight, sir?
What's happening?
Yeah. Well, a lot now that you're here, brother, and we have some big news. Now we're going to try things a little bit different today because we have so much to discuss, and I just don't want to confine it to the Twitterverse, or X, as they call it now, Twitter/X. So we're just going to let you guys come up with the questions, and we're going to start things off by, this was announced today, and of course, Rick knew about it earlier. So I want to get his thoughts. And so it was announced today that Leonard Ellerby, the only CEO of Mayweather Promotions, former towel holder for Money May, and he is out. Now, according to the press release, it says he stepped down and decided to spend more time with his family. And so Floyd Mayweather, he hires Richard Schaefer, former CEO of Golden Boy. Yeah. And so, Rick, what are we to expect from Mayweather Promotions from this point forward? And what happened here? Did Ellerby, from what you know, did he really step down willingly?
I don't see that. No.
Yeah. Yep.
No.
So go ahead, sir.
I just think it was over. You know, he had petered the company down to nothing. It was not irrelevant. It was a relevant company in the boxing landscape, and everybody saw that, and basically said, "Hey, you know, something's got to give here," and you know, it was move on time. You know.
Yeah, and you know what? I love this move, quite honestly. Once again, Richard has always had, in the words of Don Chargan, the best business acumen in boxing he's ever seen, and the best business acumen since Howard Hughes. And so I love this opportunity for Richard. He, in my opinion, he gets another opportunity to try and redeem himself in the eyes of many. And he's coming into a situation that has a lot of talent, although they have been losing a lot as of late. And he's got built-in TV dates, doesn't he?
He doesn't have built-in TV dates, but he's going to be getting a TV deal. He will be getting a TV deal. I've got confidence in Richard. I think Floyd has got an underutilized brand name that hasn't been, you know, he has no representation in LA or Hollywood with like CAA, for instance. Richard has a relationship with CAA. And I think combination of Richard's CAA, Floyd's brand, and what Richard brings to the table, I think we'll get them a TV deal of some type. No less than once a month at least for prospects and stuff like that. Whether they're the big shows for millions, I don't know yet, but they will have some kind of TV presence, no question.
Yeah, one thing I always admired of Richard, when he's focused and motivated, this guy's a machine.
Hmm.
He is such a smart guy, genius level IQ, and yeah, he's a machine. He works nonstop, and he picked up this racket very quickly. Obviously, he had the best teacher in the world. He is my mentor, Don Warwick Chargan. And before, I don't know if you heard this story, but before Richard took on this role, remember he was just Oscar's financial advisor. Um, and he took on this role, and he had never even attended a live fight when he took the job as CEO of Golden Boy Promotions back in the day. Can you believe that's what, over 20 years ago now?
Way more than that, actually.
Yeah,
Actually,
crazy how time flies.
it was in 2020, 2002. So it was 22 years ago, actually. Yep. Hmm.
It's crazy. Yeah, and before that, yeah, Don told me he had never even attended a live fight once.
Yep.
And that's how quickly he picked up this racket. So if
Hmm.
anyone can turn this sinking ship around, yeah, it's Richard. He's very capable, very sharp, and I really like the assignment, and I really like the choice of Floyd. It tells me that he is trying to, just like Oscar, the situation he was in when Al Heyman left him for dead. He's um he's not willing to go down without a fight. He's a fighter. But look, I have to put in this one, Rick, just so I want to get your reaction from this. So, are you ready? Here we go.
Maybe, just maybe, it's time for Rick Glaser's Twitter watch. Bang!
Ha ha! You knew we were at least gonna flip in one, and here it is. And this was your reaction from uh, the excerpt of Leonard Ellerby pretty much discounting Frank Mayweather, basically stating that
Frank
he's not
Martin. Frank
worthy.
Martin.
Or
Frank
Frank,
Martin.
I'm sorry, Frank Martin, basically stating that he's not worthy of this assignment, right? And you said this, and this was on June 12th, yesterday. OMG, what a jerk off Leonard Ellerby is. He's supposed to be pumping up the event so boxing enthusiasts and the general sporting public buy the pay per view. Instead, he's verbally lowering the worth of Tank's opponent. Hashtag Frank Martin and the event. You can't make this shit up. Oh my gosh. Yep. Now, do you think maybe this goes into, hey, you know what? I'm not going to be here, so I really don't care. Why would he do something like that?
I
Or is he
I
really
don't
that
know.
ignorant?
This was pretty quick. I don't know. In other words, I think that was the final straw. I think it was in the wind, and I think yesterday was the final straw. Richard got a phone call, and it was all real quick and boom, 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 and I, just happened. So I don't really know. I know that Floyd was contemplating it, from what I understand, but I think yesterday pulled the fucking trigger off the whole thing.
Yeah,
Just
I
like, how can a guy be this stupid?
because yeah, that is silly, and that's something I tell all my young fighters. And the ones I used to do PR work with back in the day. And I'd say, look, it really doesn't behoove you to shame this guy and discount his ability in the ring, because if you struggle and you suffer from adversity, and if he rocks you, you're not going to look good. Prop this guy up, make him seem like it's your toughest assignment to date. And when you make it look like easy work, it's that much better. It's not that difficult to understand. So this guy's a CEO of Mayweather Promotions. Is he that much of a jock rider that he just can't help himself?
Dick Ryder. Dick Ryder.
Well, I wasn't going to say that, but I knew you would. Oh, Chingo. I, I tell you what, though, guys, and look, I can tell you're really broken up about losing Leonard Ellerby on Twitter and CEO of Mayweather. What are you going to do now, Rick? You got one less guy to ridicule publicly.
It's tough to find those kind of people to replace. That's the scary part. Jesus Christ.
Now, you've been monitoring their situation. Ago, that oh boy, things aren't good in Mayweather Promotions land. All
Hmm.
kinds of stuff you were hearing, and this was it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But you think though that they didn't make the final decision until maybe this was the coup de grace.
Yeah. I think this was the straw that broke the camel's back. Just stupidity. I mean, how dumb can you be? That was Ellerby's lack of brains on display, upon public display for everybody to see. I mean, how can you be this dumb? Look at how many comments and likes this, and I got on that tweet. I'm approaching 500, if not, I maybe top 500 a night. Hits on that fucking thing. So, I mean, everybody recognizes how dumb he is. I mean, how could you not?
Oh my word! And look,
This is at a point where common sense of what he tells you how stupid he is. That's not a
oh
good sign.
geez. Well, look, my first run-in with Leonard Ellerby, long time ago.
What'd you do? Run up his nostrils?
No, but I could have parked my truck in there. No,
Jesus Christ.
So, kind of looks like, well, anyway, I'm not going to go into that. But I was asking him some real boxing stuff. This is back when I was a beat writer and he was just part of Team Mayweather. They hadn't formed Mayweather Promotions just yet, that they were talking about it. And so I started asking him about the business. And he just looks at me and he goes, hey, man, look at those shoes. You see how much those are real snakes. You know how much they cost? That was his response to all of my questions about the business and comments. That spoke volumes. And so am I surprised that this happened? Hell no. I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner. Because you're absolutely right. This guy knows nothing about the business. So why does he try to take credit every chance he can in creating the level of attraction of Tank Davis?
I have no idea. I think it's just another shortcoming of his personality and his lack of brains.
Yeah. So I tell you what, we want to welcome RZ to the show. Thank you for supporting Big Rick on this day, being the first one on the board. And also my brother Outlaw, Rick and JoJo. I'm here for the Slick Rick Hour. Yes, sir. Thank you for always being here, my friend. For Rick. And he says, don't forget, Leonard Ellerby's the chest rubber also. That's right. It was almost embarrassing. I tell you what, that's great that you mentioned up. Very fortuitous that it's Pride Month. And Alberto, welcome to the show, sir. And thank you for being here and supporting Rick. He says Oscar's two biggest enemies teaming up. I can't wait to see how the Golden Boy responds to the news of Schaefer joining Mayweather Promotions. Rick, your thoughts on that?
Oscar is one of my favorite people. I really like Richard a lot. We get along. I get along with both of them very well. They're not dear friends anymore. They haven't been for 10 years, and it is what it is. What can I say? You know,
Yep.
I hope to do business with both of them. I do business with Oscar and Eric Gomez, now the president of Golden Boy, and I hope to do business with Richard too. And I hope that nobody's mad at me for doing so. You know what I mean? I have a great relationship with Richard, so between the two of them, it is what it is. But it's and I hope to do business with both of them.
Well, the only thing that would make this complete, this package, to Oscar's delight, would be to hire Roberto Diaz as chief matchmaker, and then your favorite lackey at Showtime Sports as I don't know, chauffeur.
I think he could replace. I think Espinoza could replace Leonard as the ball scratcher.
I love it.
Johnson Stroker and Ball Scratcher.
Well, at least he could go pick up their dry cleaning, right? But
Yep. No. Those dry cleaning places deliver now.
oh, so he wouldn't even well then wow. Uh, is there anything that Espinoza could possibly do that AI couldn't do better?
I don't know. He's just such a fucking. Oh God, terrible.
And
He
there it is,
calls
guys.
me the
Oh,
felon. He calls me a felon. He called like it was a revelation. He found out I was a felon. I tell everybody I'm a felon. What the fuck's wrong with this guy? Fucking
yeah, look.
loser he is.
Well, look, guys. Yeah, we're not even gonna go there. I'm gonna change the subject, right? So hold on. Iceman, welcome to the show, sir. He says Mayweather is Heyman, Heyman is Mayweather. He thinks they're one and the same, and no, they're not. Heyman is a very real guy. Um, hopefully he retires just like Leonard Ellerby sometime soon. But Alberto says Mayweather Promotions has no fighters left but Carmel Mutai.
Yeah,
Hard
they
to
got
put on a show.
a couple other guys. A guy named Jersey Vargas and a guy named Joseph Brown. Got a couple other guys left.
But yeah, but they did lose a lot of people as well. I think the first one I can remember is Richardson Hitchens, right?
Yeah, the
Jumped ship.
Johan Ingram they just lost. A
Yep.
couple of them. Yes.
But yeah, it's going to be interesting. They're going to have to rebuild nonetheless, and it's very difficult. How are they going to do that without TV dates, though? That's first
Yeah.
and foremost.
I think Richard's going to end up with TV dates. That's what I think he will.
Very good, very good. Let's hope so. Because one, it's kind of a double-edged sword in this business, Rick. Um, it's hard to get TV dates without talent, and it's hard to attract talent without TV dates.
Yes, you're correct.
Where do you start? And there it is. Outlaw once again says, "Yeah, Alberto, they've got Amazon superstar and Rolly Romero. Do they even still have Rolly Romero, or is he even still competing?
I think they still got him.
Oh boy. Well, if that's a race in a hole, best of luck to that." Chihuahua. Oh, I stand corrected. Iceman says Teddy Atlas says bang, not Bing. Well, it sounds like Bing. And there, Refugio Garcia says Gervonta Davis has no chance against Frank Mayweather this weekend. Shades of Floyd Mayweather. Your thoughts on that? We're not going to go into it just yet, but your thoughts on this? Because from where I'm sitting, Rick, this is going to be, at least on paper, it looks like his toughest test to date.
Oh yeah, I think people underestimate Frank Martin because a lot of people hadn't heard of him, but he's a solid left-hander with great fundamentals, and he's beaten some formidable guys that he should have beaten along the way that were solid, and he looked good in doing so. Um, I have no problem with the fight itself as far as competitiveness, but it's not a pay-per-view fight. That's my problem with the fight.
Yeah. And well, hence the reason why David Benavidez was put on the co-main event. But once again, his fight isn't exactly pay-per-view worthy either.
Right.
Now, when you look at the turnout at the Grand Arrival, and Tank Davis didn't even show up, what was your reaction, Rick?
How could the A side of the main event not show up and call it a grand arrival? How about it was just an arrival?
Oh boy, I'll tell you what. And yeah, I was shocked. I was in shock. Especially when they're throwing that much money at him, from what I've heard is a very healthy guaranteed purse. How could he not do this? I mean, how could he not show up?
Don't know.
Makes no sense to me.
No.
Alberto also says, I'd be willing to pay $80 to see Mr. Glaser and Leonard Ellerby in the ring, but I know Rick is a class act and would not stoop down to that level. Rick, would he even show up?
Don't overestimate my class, please.
Yeah. I was gonna say, you know what Rick would throw down, but the kind of smack talk that Rick would throw at him before the fight, well, he would fake an injury in my opinion. Am I wrong about that, Rick?
Probably.
And there it is, Mini Meal. Welcome to the show, sir. He says, "Hi guys, hi Joe, hi Rick, hi, hello to you, sir, and thank you for always supporting Rick. We appreciate it, brother." Um, he also says, Alberto, Leonard was Floyd's spit bucket guy who happened to stumble into the CEO position and ran with it. He's not the brightest, just the most willing to kiss his ass.
It's a good description. Thank you.
That's a perfect description, actually. I think he summed it all up in just that sentence. Wow,
Yeah,
that's great.
pretty good.
Outlaw says, with Floyd and Richard back in boxing, I don't think they will get far with their background. Do you want to make sense of that,
I
Rick?
don't know. I don't know. I
Let's move on.
I think they're going to do well together. I think it's a formidable team. I said so in my tweet. I stand by what I said.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly, and I was pleased with this decision for Floyd Mayweather. I think they're going to do a lot more than they have been. Put it that way.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. There's not even a question about that in my mind.
yep. Martin. Well, Mad Dog H says Martin is going to sleep. Do you think he's going to get the knockout in this matchup, Rick? In your opinion?
Um, Tank sort of got to win by knockout, period, because he doesn't throw a lot of punches. So he's got to win by knockout because he's not a volume puncher and he's not an action guy as far as standing in and throwing a lot of punches. He's more conservative than that, and he looks to load up with one punch. So he's got to win by knockout, really.
Yeah, and Rick, as crafty as Frank is, and his deep amateur background, very disciplined. He was working his ass off. I heard he was sparring with Shushu Carrington in preparation for Tank Davis. Um, so he's been preparing meticulously with Derek James,
Mm-hmm.
from what I've been told by several people. And do you think that's a dubious plan, though, to give away rounds to a guy who, well, can very well be your toughest test and go 12 rounds? Honestly, I've never even seen Frank Martin hurt, much less knocked out.
Right. No, I agree. We'll see. We'll see.
Well, that's
I
why they fight the fights, guys.
Right. Exactly. That's very well said. You know.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Mini Meal says, Rick, was Tank just jealous of David Benavidez? Is this why he didn't show up to the press? David was on fire. Yeah, he was. And, he acted like a true professional. Cut and all. Yeah, I don't know. Like, that's a head scratcher. I have no idea why Tank would not show up to his own event. Yeah. Iceman says this. Well, maybe Tank couldn't find a matching purse with his outfit, Rick. That's why he didn't show up.
That's a reason for
uh,
my wife not to show up, not Tank.
And there it is. Alberto says, Joe and Rick, what are your thoughts on Turkey's plan to purchase the major boxing outfits? I think
Well,
we finally get the biggest and best fights like the UFC. Your thoughts, sir?
um, I don't think they're going to buy Top Rank and Golden Boy. I think they're going to end up buying. If they do buy any companies, it's going to be Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren.
Mm. You know what? It's a much healthier market already. And it's the same time zone, so the pay-per-views have done well in the UK markets. That would
Mm-hmm.
make a lot of sense what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of that is contingent upon how well the August 3rd card does in the American market, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think so. But I think when it's said and done, they'll end up buying Warren and Matchroom. I think.
We'll see if Eddie is ready to relinquish his baby, or his dad's baby, I should say. We'll see. A lot of let's do another Twitter watch here. It said on June 12th, yesterday at 6:30 p.m. You said this on Twitter. A lot of moving parts right now in the boxing business around the world. I think we're in a transition period with various corporate entities, including promotional companies, TV networks, and streaming services coming and going in the boxing and programming and content business. As the saying goes, only the strong survive and the weak fall by the wayside. It's all happening now. End quote. So which is the projected dominoes to fall completely, sir?
Well, I think PBC's got some problems, obviously.
Yep.
I think that would be one. Um, I think that would be a big problem right there. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be one. I think Turkey buying the companies out would be could be a good thing. Would probably be a good thing. They would be a good thing, and more competitive fights, a little bit of everything. I think Richard Shea getting rid of Leonard Ellerby is a plus. You know, the line addition by subtraction, that was good right there, and then he brought Richard in, and then like I said, I said Floyd went from the Kia of CEOs to the Rolls Royce of CEOs. That's how I look at it.
Yep. There it is. There it is. And I tell you what, want to welcome Lance Meyer to the show. Thank you for supporting Rick on this day. Uh, and also, the tavern is so happy. Salute, Rick. Oh, Chihuahua. I'll tell you what, though. Let's go back to the Turkey Alalshikh thing, though. Now, obviously, I was a bit surprised that this was actually written about and talked about and announced publicly because they're not even in the process of closing any of these deals. So, what is the likelihood of this actually happening? And when do you think it would actually happen in your mind, Rick?
Well, these kind of things take months because of, big purchases, but not because of the money, because all the legalities of it. Um, not, it's not like raising funds, but the legalities of it. So these kind of things could take 6 months. So, the first of the year, something like that, you got to figure by the time they negotiate and they do the closing. I mean, I can see the new companies taking over the first of the year if it happens.
Indeed, indeed. After the Fury Usyk rematch in December, and your thoughts when you saw, um, well, I would say the shot heard around the world, but at least in the pubs in the UK in Morecambe, Fury face planting right in the street in front of everyone, drunker than a skunk. Um, yeah. Rick, your thoughts on that, brother?
I don't have any.
Very good. Then we'll move on. Here's another Twitter tweet on June 12th. You were busy yesterday. And this was in response to Errol Spence Jr. supporting and backing Terrence Crawford to beat Canelo Alvarez. And you stated this. Boy, that's very classy of Errol Spence backing Terrence Crawford to beat Canelo. But listen to Errol's speech. Many of you saying that he's not shot. Hashtag boxing. Um, yeah, Rick, it was glaring to say the least. Does he come back in your opinion?
He will, but it will not have good results. If he's fighting the guys that they say he's going to fight, it won't have good results. Now, if he's fighting Joe Blow, yeah, might have a good result. But Fondora's, Spence's, those kind of guys, he's not beating those guys anymore.
Yeah, and that's a real predicament for EJ. Because
Hmm.
if he expects to receive the kind of money that he's grown accustomed to receiving, you have no choice. You have to fight somebody.
Yep.
That's not good.
Mm-mm.
Well, best of luck to you, EJ. Oh, Chihuahua. Oh man. I have to put this one in, and this was yesterday as well. This has nothing to do with boxing, but I want to get your thoughts on this. Basketball legend Jerry West has passed away at age 86. One of the all-time NBA greats as a player, team executive. Rest in peace, Mr. Jerry West, LA Lakers. That's right. Your thoughts on expound more on Jerry West?
Well, he
Please
was,
tell.
he was Mr. Mountaineer. He's from West Virginia. They loved him there. They loved him anywhere he came in contact with. I met the guy once, back in 2016. Just a high class guy. What can you say? I mean, all time great basketball player, all time great executive, all time wonderful human being. It doesn't get any better than Jerry West.
Yeah,
Period.
it really doesn't. Yeah. All
Talk
right.
about non controversial, right?
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I wish it were back that way today. I wish it were that
No,
way today.
I know one thing: we lost the Republican vote.
Well, in California, really, what does that mean?
That's true.
Oh, Chingao, man. You might as well just give it to him now. What is that? How many delegates? Is that 54?
I think 55, but yeah.
Oh, Chingao, dude. Might as well just give it to Joe Biden now. So here it is, another one from June 11th, Rick. Congrats to top manager Neil Marsh for getting his fighter David Avnesian the Boots Ennis fight on July 13th in Philly on his own. Neil gets it, as he knows and understands the boxing business very well. Much respect to Neil Marsh, top man, UK.
Yeah, he's one of the premier managers over there. Nice guy. Doesn't handle a lot of fighters at any one time. Only got a few fighters. Him and Zach Parker, super middleweight Zach Parker, light heavyweight Zach Parker. And David Azavanian, and he does a great job with his fighter, any of his fighters. He just does a really good job. He's a good guy, and there's nothing negative about the guy at all. He's a legitimate good hustler. He's a good boxing guy. He's got a nice personality. He's pleasant. He takes himself seriously, and he still maintains a good sense of humor. Can't beat that.
Excellent, excellent. And boxing business needs more men like that. I'll
That's
tell you
right.
what,
That's
though,
right.
Rick. When you look at David Avanesian now getting this assignment, do you like this for Boots Ennis's homecoming on July 13th?
I do, because if he was to fight Crowley, I don't know who would win, David or him. So that
Mm,
means it's no different of a fight to me.
you know what? Similar styles also. In my opinion, Cody Crowley has a higher work rate, but I don't know how effective that would be against Jaron Ennis.
Yeah,
And
higher work rate against a real good punchers sometimes not a good thing.
no, unless you're William Zepeda, who just re-signed a long-term deal with Golden Boy.
Yep.
Can you expound on that, sir, please?
I don't know anything about the deal itself, but they're a great fit for each other. He's from Mexico. He's he fights in Southern California, and Golden Boy does 8 out of 10 of their shows in Southern California. So I feel it's a very very good mix, and they really like the kid as a human being. They like his management. They like everything about the people, and that goes a long way into having a harmonious relationship. So there you go.
And there it is. And there it is. And I tell you what, we're going to mention your dear friend, Don King. He had a show last Friday. Did you get a
Yep.
chance to see it, big
I,
guy?
I watched I watched the whole show. I thought it was very good, except for the Cassius Chaney
Oh,
bitch
boy.
up. Never landed a telling blow. Never threw a telling blow. Just
No,
awful.
he
God
didn't.
awful.
Yep. Yeah. And so, correct me if I'm wrong. Hunter, did he have a version of the WBO title or
No,
WBA title, rather?
no,
What the hell was that around his waist then after the fight?
no. That was a belt that he won in the fight. I think it was like an international WBA international belt or
Oh, okay.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, geez. So let's go to the main event. You saw this coming. Adrian Broner. Not only now, once again, Adrian Broner. Why on earth do these guys like Adrian, a veteran, guy who's been in this business as long as he's been alive, pretty much, and he still doesn't know to wear a fitted mouthpiece?
I don't know. It's a mystery, isn't it?
Because it kept falling out, and he got his tooth knocked out as a result by Blair the Flair Cobbs, who dominated him from start to finish. In fact, I couldn't understand why a ref gave him 3 rounds or a judge gave him 3 rounds on the scorecards. Where do both men go from here, Big Rick?
Well, Broner's should retire because he's shot and he's just a punching bag at this point. But he won't retire. He needs the money. He got nothing else to do with his life, so he'll fight. And I think what's his name will get a good payday. I think that I think the kid from Philly there, Cobbs. I think he'll get a worthy payday out of the whole deal. I think they've beaten a Broner. He's only got one career loss that I can remember off the top of my head. And I think that's a good sign. And I think he'll be in a big fight. How's that?
Tell you what, he's going to be an opponent. Who wins between Rolly Romero and Blair the Flair Cobbs?
Well, Rolly Romero is 140, and the other guy is 147. But I Cobbs wins.
Very good, very good. Well, hold on. RZ says, Rick, any thoughts on Errol Spence and Derek James sitting together during the Tank Martin press conference a couple days ago? Are they still in the legal battle?
I haven't heard they're not. Let's put it that way to you.
Neither have I, sir. Neither have I. Wow. Hold on. Canelo's World. Welcome to the show, sir. He says, Rick, at what age did you start watching boxing? And what was the first match you attended live?
Okay. I went to the close. I watched it on TV a few times, and then I went to the closed circuit of Ali Frazier on March 8th of 71 at the Bailey Avenue movie theater. It was on the closed circuit there. And I studied boxing for 20 years, and that was 71. And 91 I entered the business. And I entered the business. When I went to the closed circuit, I was 12 years old. I wasn't even 13 yet. I didn't turn 13 to 6 weeks later. And that's it. That's the story. And I just, was fascinated by it. I mean, they'd miss. Somebody throw a punch like Frazier, throw a hook, he'd miss, and the crowd would stand up and go crazy. So they hardly even sat down through the whole fight. Once in a while they did, they just jump up a second later. It was fascinating, and I enjoyed it. And I studied boxing for 20 years, and by the time I entered the game, I was pretty well versed, believe it or not. And I had paid attention. I bought a lot of boxing magazines, watched a lot of fights on TV as much as I could back then. There was only ABC, NBC, and CBS back then. And I had a good time watching, and I kept watching more and more. And I watched the fights on Saturdays and Sunday afternoons back then. And then HBO came around in 78, I think it was 73, but 78 by the time we got it.
Yep.
And it was quite interesting. And I entered the business in 91, and I never looked back. And, so it's been a good ride. It's far from ending.
And there it is. Thank you for the question, Canelo's World, and I want to welcome our brother Sly Tendency to the show, and thank you for the $10 super chat, my friend. We appreciate it, brother, and thank you for supporting Big Rick on this day. Says, well, what's up, Big Joe? Hope you're feeling good, my man. Rick, do you think Liam Paro is being overlooked? He just took a guy out. Love, easy. Is Matias the real deal? Thank you in advance, Mr. Glaser. Thank you.
I'll answer that question with a question. We'll find out Saturday.
We'll definitely find out Saturday. I will say this though. Subriel Matias, and something that a lot of fans don't understand, or maybe they're just overlooking this. This is his first big time fight in Puerto Rico, right?
Right. Right.
And a lot of fighters insist to me that they can't stand fighting in their hometown because it's a big distraction and it's a lot of pressure.
Right.
Do you think Subriel Matias may experience this? Because Liam
I
Paro
don't.
is going
I
into
don't
this
think so.
fight.
I think he's more like the Iceman cometh. I don't think that's going to affect him at all.
Well, you know what? Liam Paro definitely is coming in as I think most books have him as a greater than 10-1 betting underdog. And he's got nothing to lose. He's a good fighter, hard guy, physically and mentally capable. What are the chances of an upset here in your mind, Rick?
It's I don't see the upset, but if it it's they both have it. They're in a fair fight. They're both wearing 8-ounce gloves. They're both good fighters. One I think is better than the other, but there's both world class fighters. One's a world champion, one's a top contender. So they're both very good. So we'll
Yep.
see. Put it this way,
I'm ex-
Lampero warrants the fight. He's a worthy challenger.
Yep.
So winning and losing's on him.
Indeed. Indeed. But guys, let's just say this. If he wants to beat Subriel Matias and become the champ, he's going to have to knock him out, guys, in Puerto Rico. Rick, would you agree with that?
No, because they'll have neutral judges. I know the guy that handles Angelo DiCarlo, and he'll insist on neutral judges and everything else. And I don't think that'll be the case, no.
Yep. Well, someone forgot to tell what's his name? El Maestro when he fought Danny Garcia in Puerto Rico. Jeez.
Well,
Yeah.
that he didn't have DiCarlo as a manager. Angelo Carlo's a sharp guy.
And there you have it. There you have it. Hold on, let's see. Alberto says Rick has some background noise going on, but he's the only person I won't complain for. His knowledge is that invaluable. Thank you, Rick, for making time for the
I don't know
viewers
what
of our channel.
background noise they got going on. There's nothing going on.
Yeah, well, Luis Trevino is directing his criticism towards me. He says, Heron, you need to apologize for trolling us, pretending Benavidez fight might be canceled. Look, from what I was told
No,
by
I
several
was
people
told
in
I
camp,
was told the same thing. I was told the same thing, Joe, that he's got a cut. They probably covered it up and all kinds of wacky shit. But I I believe he's got a cut.
yeah, he's got a cut, guys. It was confirmed by several people in camp.
Yeah.
But yeah, I tell you what, they did a great job covering it up, and it's not small. I mean, I can see it in the photos, but I know what to look for. So there. We'll see if it's a factor. In your mind, Rick, why didn't he just postpone this? Because Gvostic is a world class guy, former pound for pound guy. And the last thing you want to do is come in with a cut. Look what
I
Ergovich.
I think he wants to get it behind him and go move on to other fights and be available for other fights, not be contractually tied to this fight further than this date.
Yeah. So what do you think is the future for Dave Benavidez? Does he jump ship as well? Because from what I've been told from their camp as well, is that they're already talking Turkey with Turki Alalshikh and possibly coming up with that money, hopefully making Canelo an offer he can't refuse.
They're not
That's
going to.
entirely up to
It's not
Canelo.
that ain't what happened. Crawford's got a much better shot of getting that fight than than um than Canelo. There's more interest in a Canelo fight versus Crawford fight as of today. And if Crawford wins that WBA junior middleweight title, knocks that guy Ladrov out, it'll even be more interest. So you know,
Indeed. Indeed. Um, you know what? Speaking of that, WBA, right? What do you think of uh Noya Inoue defending his titles or defending that title should he choose to do that? against MJ Agmadaliev.
Um, yeah, that's the next natural guy. He's the mandatory for the WBA. He wants to stay at 122. Why not? It's a good fight. It's a fun fight, and that guy makes good fights. And we know Nui makes great fights, so it'll be a good combination. But it won't be on that show. And whoever said that about that fight being on that show September 21st,
Oh,
no, he's not.
why would he do that?
Nui's not anybody's undercard. Nui's a
Nope.
main event.
He's a rock star,
Period.
guys. He's a rock
Yeah.
star in Japan.
Yeah, but
Just like
and he'll be a
Canelo
rock star if he
doesn't.
goes to Saudi Arabia. Wherever he goes, he's going to be a rock star, and he doesn't need to be an undercard fighter.
That's
Ridiculous.
right. That's exactly right. That's like trying to say Canelo would be someone's co-main event in Saudi Arabia or anywhere
Correct.
else. Not going to
Correct.
happen, guys. Not going to happen. Oh, again, another criticism. Why don't you just make fun of my mother while you're at it, brother? He says, and again, your volume is too low, Heron. Jeez, you claim to be a professional. Oh boy. I'll tell you what, Rick. They all come out when we're on the show, man. What's going on with that?
I can't tell you.
Oh, seriously, is my volume way too low? That's crazy, man. Danny Drew, welcome to the show, sir. Yeah, Cobbs is food for the 147 pounders. Realistically, does anyone pick him up and sign him to a deal after this Adrian Broner performance?
He's already with Don King. He wouldn't have been in the
Oh,
fight if
is
he
he?
wasn't with Don
Is
King. Yeah.
so he is signed with Don King. Very good. I
Don
wasn't
wouldn't have
sure
put
if
him in
that
the
was
fight if he
actually a deal.
didn't have him. Don's old school. He wouldn't have put him in the
Yeah,
fight.
yeah, you're right. He's got options on. You know, it's funny. You remember when everyone used to complain? Don King, it's like, well, what you dude, you know he's a shyster because, and everyone used to say this, fans who didn't know any better. Look, he came out with the champ, and now he's waving the flags and smiling right behind the newly crowned champ, the guy who is supposed to be just the opponent.
Right. He walked in with Joe Frazier, and he walked over his body to get to George Foreman. That's great story.
Yeah, not
One time,
realizing. Yeah, go ahead, man.
one time years ago, I was with Don, and and there was a guy standing there, and I said, "Do me a favor, will you lay down on the floor?" And the guy says, "Why?" Because I wanted Don to walk over you, and I'm going to stand on the other side, and I'm going to pretend I'm George Foreman. You pretend you're Joe Frazier, and Don was fucking howling.
That's it, brother. That is it. That is awesome. I want to thank Evander Holyfields for visiting and supporting Rick. He says, shout out to Rick. Thank you for being here, my friend. Also, El Don Cholesterol. Well, salute to you, my friend. Thank you for supporting Rick on this day. And Evander says, yeah, Matias will walk through Liam Paro. Well, tell you, he very well may, but that's no easy task. I mean, look, um, do you think now, once again, if he walks through Ermias Ponce and then Shoshan Ergashev, Liam Paro had better be one special fighter if he wants to go the distance or stop Subriel Matias. Um, Once again, those are two guys that most people haven't heard of, but how good were those opponents and how
Good,
impressive was
very
that to
good.
stop both of them for Subriel
Ponce
Matias?
Ponce was very good, and I just he did it, and let's see what Paro brings to the table, and let's see. That's all. That's why we fight the fights. We're not sure who's going to win.
Yep, that's why we love boxing, guys. The truth always reveals itself in the ring, not before. Not before. Let's see. Mini meal. We're running out of time. We only have Rick for about 8 more minutes.
Four
So,
more
guys,
minutes. 4 minutes.
well,
4 minutes.
4 more minutes. My apologies, bro. So, Rick, I keep hearing that El Maestritito, 147, Jose Luis Lopez, 90s fighter, supposedly was an avoided fighter by Oscar and Trinidad. But I don't think that's true. What say you, sir?
That was Don Sharkin's fighter.
Uh
I don't think he was avoided at all.
huh. That's it. Now, once again, guys, there are no boogeymen in this business, just non-ticket sellers. Now, once again, he was a big ticket seller in Sacramento. He was a good draw in Sacramento, but yeah, not enough to get the notice of Golden Boy or Tito Trinidad, right?
Right.
And there it is. If there's no demand, guys, yeah, why should those superstars even notice or fight you if they don't have to? Now, keep in mind, Golden Boy was bigger than the titles. Rick, speaking of titles, one last thing I want to ask you. What did you think of Tank Davis saying that he wants to clean out the 135-pound division? Better late than never? And do you
But
believe it?
no, it's all bullshit. Hocus pocus malocus.
Oh, Chingao. And Outlaw says, Rick, give us a hint on the big news that's coming. I think you already did, didn't you?
Yeah, it's announced it. It's Turkey looking to start a league.
There it is. There it is. Guys, we apologize. At one, we didn't have the gracious and always capable, always a pro, G Funky, to co-host the show. But Rick, never a dull moment and always flies by when you're on the air. So I'll give you your opportunity to give some parting shots. Is there anything that you'd like to announce in your final couple of moments on the
No,
program?
just you can follow me on Twitter at Real Rick Glaser 1. I'm a verified account. I got about 12,800 followers. There's a bunch of fake Rick Glaser accounts out there. Just beware. Mine's a verified account. And I'll see you guys next Monday night. And this week we had a Thursday night edition because we were unable to do Monday night. But no fault of anybody's. It just didn't work out to be able to do it on Monday schedules. But this coming Monday, I'll be back. I'll be back with a vengeance.
Well, I tell you what, before you go, your final predictions on the main event and the co-main event this Saturday night, guys.
A Tank 9 or 10 round stoppage, and David Benavidez 7 or 8 round stoppage.
Very good, guys. Very good. That's from Mr. Rick Glaser. I'll tell you what, Rick, always a pleasure, brother. Thank you. Thank you for being on here, guys. And on behalf of the Real Rick Glaser, I'm Joseph Herron. You've been listening to War Week Boxing. Great evening, everybody.
How you doing? You too can smell manly if you listen to Real Talk with Rick Glaser.